Hey, it's Mike from Guitar World, and we are here at NAMM 2025. We are at Ernie Ball, and we are with Cory Wong, who has just launched the StingRay 2 with Ernie Ball Music Man. Cory, how did this first come about?
I've been looking for a humbucker guitar for a long time. Obviously, people know me as a Strat guy, and I love the Strat, still play the Strat all the time, but as everybody knows, we need more than one guitar. And I've tried a bunch, I've owned a bunch, and I've just never felt like any of them really allowed me to effortlessly express my voice in a way that I wanted to sound. And I hit up Music Man. I was like, hey, I saw this Joe Dart Jr. bass. Can you just like put 6 strings and a humbucker on it? And they're like, no, it doesn't quite work like that, but what do you have in mind? And then we just started talking through different things and eventually just started conceptualizing some ideas. And then it kind of turned into, hey, this sounds like something that could be pretty cool. This is something you're looking for. This is something that doesn't exist yet. What do you think about just helping us design a guitar that would solve these needs for people? And it was really fun to do. Yeah, it was an absolute blast. And they nailed it. And I finally have my humbucker guitar.
Yeah. So how much work went to voicing those kind of humbuckers for your particular sound?
Honestly, quite a bit, because the guitar itself, the wood, all the choices that you make in the body affect the sound. So some of those things we had loosely set up, and then we'd adjust things, and then we'd have to adjust the pickups. But I tried maybe 4 or 5 different prototypes until it was like, oh, that's the thing. That's the thing. Okay, now how do we dial in the balance between the low end to the high end, kind of being able to get the George Benson thing, but also be able to do the rock thing at the same time. So I was looking for that level of versatility, and it was really dialing in what kind of presence do we want in these pickups, and how thick do we want the low mids. So really everything was nailed once it was like, oh, that's in the ballpark. But now it's just like, what's my preference for the shimmery top end and the low mid? And the beautiful thing is, I don't know how to do any of the technical side of any of that, but the engineers at Music Man are brilliant with this, and they can dial in almost anything at any frequency. I don't know what they're doing, but they're the experts, so that's why we work with them. So yeah, it was a lot of just figuring out different ways to voice the pickups on their own and then also together. Because as you know, some guitars you switch between pickups and it's like, it's so different in sound, or it's just like, I don't know, it's not really, you don't really favor one or the other. So this one we were pretty meticulous about trying to find, what a good balance was between the two that complements each other, but also really has a potent sound on their own.
Can we hear a little bit of it?
Yes.
So which setting was that?
So that's the neck pickup. I wanted that really, that sort of stuff I do all the time on my Strat, but sometimes I want a little bit of a thicker thing with it. But also I roll the tone back a little bit, or go into kind of this. That sort of thing, and it feels really great. But then I can kick on. And I chose that tone and those chords for a reason, because a lot of guitars and a lot of pickups, when you have the overdrive on, it's hard to really have the clarity of the notes.
Especially with those voicings, like there's a extended.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm a Steely Dan junkie, so I'm playing Dan chords all the time. I need pickups that can keep the clarity even when there's some other stuff happening. And also, one of the things I always like to do when I test guitars is see if they pass the zipper test. The zipper test. Okay, so I'm bending the notes up, but listen underneath it. you'll hear it's like there's a zipper that's being pulled down to the Earth's core that goes while the thing is going up. And to me, that is a really great testament to pickups that respond in a natural way with overdrive and distortion. I'll play it again. It's like kind of what gives the guitar its unique power, you know? And I think a lot of people aren't listening for those sort of things. So if you can hear pickups that have a lot of clarity and that have a lot of integrity to their sound, I hear all those things in it, and you hear a lot of details that I think some pickups just don't have.
Dude, I'm just so glad you came up with a name for that, because I think every guitarist experiences it, but we didn't know what to call it. So that's great. How does it affect your playing style, like playing with humbuckers versus single coils, and how's that going to affect your music going forward, do you think?
You know, to be honest, the decisions that I make on what guitar to use is based on what I'm hearing in my head. So if I'm hearing something that has a little bit of a rounder, warmer top end, then I'm going to go for this. And if I want that bubbly, more sparkly, brighter thing that I'm mostly known for, then I'm using my Strat, you know? So it's really what am I hearing and what feels most appropriate for the song or for the guitar part that I'm playing, you know? How does it affect my playing? If I feel like I'm nailing the tone, then I'm just gonna play more comfy, you know? So if I'm playing these sort of bad bass note. You know, that sort of thing, it's gonna, if I have my tone right, all of a sudden it allows me to breathe a little bit. Where sometimes if I don't feel like my tone is great, or if it's not the right tone, I feel like I'll get a little antsy. I won't breathe as much in my phrasing, or I won't allow the music to just do what it's doing. I'm just kind of like, the tone's not right. I better play something else. You know, this instrument has been so wonderful to afford me such a depth of tones in my arsenal that I just haven't had before. I mean, I've honestly just been searching for a humbucker guitar. I'm serious. I could. Well, maybe I'll set up a Reverb.com store at this point and sell all of my old humbucker guitars, because it's just like I've been looking for one for so long. I was like, sure, this is the best one I got for right now.
Yeah.
But I've just been looking for so long, and now I finally have this, so it's amazing. I'm very excited.
That's awesome. And I mean, obviously you're still playing your Strat.
Yeah.
How did you first sort of broach that conversation with Fender that you might be seeing other companies?
Well, no, I mean, I think the thing about this that's wonderful is there's no doubt about it. They serve two completely different purposes. You know, this is a two humbucker, three-way switch guitar, and it's a $3,000 guitar that's handmade here in the U.S., and you know, it's a different factory. The quantity is much different. You know, the amount of guitars, the output is different, and that's great. That's what makes the companies unique in their own way. And the Strat is a $2,000 single coil instrument. You know, so to me they serve completely different purposes. And you know, it's nice to see other guitar companies, you know, doing well. I think also, you know, at the end of the day, Ernie Ball Music Man wants Fender to do well, because then they're going to sell more strings, you know, and Fender is happy for all these companies that are also doing well. Just, I think in general, I think we're at a point, especially where the guitar is maybe at a different place in the zeitgeist of general music, where it's like, you know what, maybe we can be a little more community together.
Yeah.
You know, it's like guitar companies, guitar players. I see it less and less competition with players too. But it's like if everybody finds their lane and finds their thing, I think it's they can coexist in a wonderful way.
That's really cool. One thing I've noticed, you know, you see on the social media algorithms, it's kind of pushing like lead guitar quite a lot.
Sure.
And rhythm guitars kind of, it doesn't get the clicks and the views in the same way. Like,
Sure.
Do you feel like the art of kind of rhythm guitar is kind of dying out as a result? What do you think about that?
It's an interesting topic that I've talked to so many people about, and I get it on the algorithm celebrating lead guitar. It's like, whoa, what's that thing? That's cool. And just because we were scrolling, we want something that's going to grab our attention, and lead guitar, I think, inherently does that a little bit more. But with rhythm guitar, it's one of those things that it's the majority of what most guitar players play, honestly, if they're playing in a band. And then also, I don't think the art is lost. I think it's just less emphasis on it. And, you know, there's so much feel and groove that happens that can be affected by the way a rhythm guitar player plays. And yeah, I think it's just the nature of the role. You know, you don't hear as many cool videos of a bass player just going boom, doom, 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 doom. You know, that's a little less than, that's going to hit your algorithm probably less than a bass player shredding or doing something that's, oh my gosh, this is, you know, but it's what we all want, you know. Honestly, I'm stoked about where everything is at because, you know, like I said, also people just have their thing that they like. People have their own lane. And for me, I love the rhythm guitar world. I'm a rhythm section junkie.
Are there any players that you've sort of seen lately who are kind of ticking that rhythm box?
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's several of them that are friends of mine. Mark Lettieri is an incredible rhythm player. And I think a lot of players that are known for lead, often it overshadows their rhythm playing because it's like, oh my gosh, this person's leads are amazing. It's like, yeah, but have you heard Prince play rhythm guitar? Have you heard Lukather play rhythm guitar? It's Eddie Van Halen. Yeah. It's like these cats are insane at that. They could just be a rhythm guitar player and they'd still be regarded as high as they are even with their lead playing. So yeah, and that's another one that I absolutely love. One of my favorite rhythm guitar players, well, guitar players in general, is Rob Harris from Jamiroquai. You know, I think that actually maybe is another thing is a lot of rhythm guitar players, it's hard to recognize them if you're just listening to the album. Yeah. Lead guitar players, a lot of times it's more like, oh, that's Vi. Yeah. Oh, that's Vi. That's Satch. You know, it's maybe a little more obvious on who somebody is if you're listening to the lead. But with rhythm guitar, for whatever reason, I always know when it's Rob Harris. I've heard him on tracks, and I look up the tracks. I'm like, oh, that's Rob. It's the tone, it's the touch, it's the feel, it's the voicing choices. So I think that it's a cool thing to be able to recognize somebody by their rhythm playing.
And to be like so in the pocket that you don't notice them on the track. Like that's an art in itself.
Yeah. Or to make tracks that are undeniable hooks rather than just playing a G7 chord. Just like, you know, a lot of people when they play rhythm guitar, they just, oh, the chords are this, and then they just play the chords. It's like, those are the chords to the song. Now let's play the song, you know, or like, let's come up with parts that are this song, you know, because a lot of times I'll listen to people play. I'm like, you're just playing a chord progression. It doesn't sound like you're doing anything iconic for your band in this thing. This tune needs something signature to it, you know? And I think a lot of times also why people don't love playing rhythm guitars, they see it as just playing chords or playing a chord progression, where I think they limit their level of creativity that they're able to unlock if they were just like, yeah, these are the chords, but I'm going to come up with a hook or an interesting line in the rhythm realm that is a rhythm guitar part, but really it's kind of a hook. Yeah. You know, Paul Jackson Jr. was incredible at that. Dave Williams, incredible at that, creating rhythm guitar hooks.
Obviously, you mentioned George Benson earlier. You did Breezing with the Stars recently. Yes. What was that like? And I mean, what did you learn from the other tutors? Because their lineup was insane.
It was so much fun. I mean, those camps are a blast, all the camps that are out there, because, I mean, I get to go see my heroes. I was, waking up every morning like, all right, I'm going to the Schofield class now, and then I'm going to go to the Lukather class, and then, I was go see Andy Timmons' songwriting thing. And there's so much fun because you get that intimate, up-close interaction with these masters of their craft, and you can ask questions, and each of the sessions was on a specific topic. So Schofield was talking about, here's my approach to playing over one chord. Okay, cool. Like, yeah, when we're playing at the Jam Festival, how many options do you have to play on one chord? And Schofield's got endless. Yeah. So it was fun to kind of go through that, and to hear Lukather tell his stories, and to just hear him talk about his approach to music was incredible. And there was so many musicians that I learned a lot from. And then the hang was out of this world. Yeah.
Going back to the guitar a little bit, has Joe Dart seen the guitar? Has he checked it out since he was the inspiration originally behind that kind of shape?
Yeah, absolutely. We were just recording a new album for the Fearless Flyers, and I used this on some of the tracks, and it worked perfectly. And yeah, we're all pretty stoked about it.
One of my favorite things about going to a Cory Wong show is checking out the merch stand. Because your guitar theme merch is next level. Dude, I want to help you out here. But also, you have your signature gear on the merch stand.
Yeah.
Like, you had your Fenders there, you had the pedals, which are all on the floor right now. Is this going to be, like, what prompted that at first? I haven't seen that much from, like, any guitarist. And how many guitars do you sell at a show?
Well, it kind of depends. I mean, it's hard to gauge per tour. When my Strat first came out, I sold more of them at the shows. I'm sure with this one, because it's newer, it'll sell a little more. But it's just fun to have this sort of thing as an option. You know, a lot of times people nowadays are shopping online, and it's like, I don't know, I don't see it. Like, it looks cool, I think I want it, but I want to see it in person first. It's like, you know what? I'm going to give them the opportunity to see it in person, and you know, hopefully they were so inspired by the tone at the gig that they're like, yeah, I need all that tone. Give me that. Here you go. Honestly, I was at the George Benson camp. I was like, I want to buy a George Benson guitar here, just because it'd be fun. You know, it'd be fun to have one of his guitars and have him sign it or something. But at the shows, if somebody buys one of my guitars, I let them come back and backstage, and I sign it, and we take a pic together. So it's also a fun thing like that too.
So we can expect this one to be appearing on your forthcoming tours.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sweet. Thanks so much for your time, Cory. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Cheers.